Hey there, are you an online business manager, director of operations, maybe a virtual assistant or a project manager, and you're always wondering, like, what are other people in my position doing? What is their day? What is their week? I know I love learning that information. So I'm going to share with you a behind the scenes look of what my day/week is working as strategic online business manager for my clients. So a little bit of background about myself. I started working as a certified online business manager about 6 years ago at this point, and I started to slowly get clients. And so I started with just a handful of clients, really just doing a couple hours at a time. I was working my corporate job still at that point, but then I was able to add on hours with my clients, get additional clients where I was able to quit my full-time corporate job and have been doing full-time online business manager work for the last more than 5 years. So I have worked with my clients, now three of my clients for 5+ years, actually, which is pretty amazing that I've worked with them for so long. And then I also take on project-based clients. I teach other service providers how to use data to make smart marketing decisions for their clients, how to up-level their skills, and do project-based work for custom dashboards, for funnel strategy, and those types of things. So when I start my week, actually, the first thing I go to is my to-do list. So my to-do list is something that I write for the week on the Friday before that week. And I write it physically, actually write it in a notebook that sits right next to me on my desk. This is what it looks like. You can see my toddler got a hold of it and scribbled all over it for this week, but that's okay. I can still read it. And really what I'm doing is I'm not trying to copy what's in the project management tool. I'm really writing things that are kind of like outside the project management tool or bigger projects or things that I have to think about, little reminders for myself if I need to talk to this person or I have a new team member starting this week. And so it's more things like that because I don't want to duplicate efforts and rewrite things on my written to-do list that I already have in my project management tool. I also include myself as one of my clients. So I have a section for each of my clients on here, and then I have myself up at the top here actually because there's things I need to do for my own business. And if I never prioritize my own business, then nothing would move forward. And so I try to make sure that I have that on my to-do list as well. So then when I come in Monday, right, I have a little bit of a reminder of what happened last week, what my focus is for this week. And then what I do is I go into my project management tools for each of my clients. And I typically try to start with one client at a time, just so I don't get so overwhelmed that I'm jumping and task switching. And so I'll start with one client and I go into Asana. And every time I go into Asana, I do a couple of things. I look at my Asana inbox first because I'm really managing projects and managing team members. And so I want to see what's been completed, if there's questions that have come in, and overall what's going on with that team. So I'm looking at my inbox to see, did the client put anything new over in there over the weekend? Did team members work on something that I missed on Friday? Are there questions I need to answer? Then I go into my task list in Asana and say, what do I have on my plate for today or for this week? And the tasks that are assigned to myself in Asana are really bigger picture things. I'll have a task assigned to myself of like plan this out, and it will be for a specific launch or a new project that I'm working on. So like, I assign myself a task to plan out a new project or a new launch or promotion. And then other things would be if I need to check something over, like I'll assign myself a task for that. Or I have like weekly recurring reminders of like things that I need to talk to my client about on a regular basis. So those are the types of things that I have on my to-do list. And then depending on how that goes, I will either stay in that client's Asana and continue to work, or I will jump to a different client's Asana and project management tool and go through that. So it really depends on what's going on, what needs my attention right now. Is there anything that's really time sensitive? While this is all going on, I communicate with all of the teams and my clients via Slack. So Slack messages may be coming in. I don't time block maybe as well as I should, but it's just how my brain operates is if I see a notification, I have to go look at it. And so if I do see a notification and I'm busy and don't have time to do it, I will set a reminder for myself in Slack to go back and look at it, or I will mark it as unread. But typically I'll just set a reminder for like an hour or 3 hours later to go back in there and then deal with whatever that communication is if it requires a more thoughtful answer or me looking into something and I don't have time to do it right now. So again, I'll either stick with a client or go jump to another client's Asana. That's one we normally use, but really any project management tool, and go see what happened over the weekend, what's going on currently with the team, what do I need to help answer in order for other team members to get their jobs done. And then on a Monday, if it's a Monday, this is my day-to-day. So for clients, there's either a combination of VAs or other team members filling in data for the last week. Again, I recommend tracking data Monday through Sunday. So on a Monday, you're tracking data for the previous Monday through Sunday. And then there's certain data that I pull myself for clients. And so Monday is more of my head down type work, pulling data for the last week. And so what I typically do is I get my data pulled, make sure team members are pulling their data. They have tasks in their project management tool for that. And then once all my data is pulled, that's when I go back and look at it, right? So in my mind, I like to get my admin task done of pulling data if for whatever data needs to be pulled manually, and then I go back in, analyze it, and figure out how did things look last week, right? Is this something that needs to be addressed? Are things going well? Did something drop off? So I do my data in two steps of tracking data and then actually analyzing it and then coming up with some type of strategy about whatever the results are showing. On Mondays, also, I typically have some client meetings. I have client meetings kind of throughout the week, depending on which client I'm working with. And but Mondays, I do like to try to prepare for those client meetings and just make sure I know what I want to talk about before I get on each of these meetings. On each of the meetings, we're reviewing data typically. And so that's why I always make sure, especially Monday morning, is when data is being pulled and entered by myself and team members. And then the rest of the week is really filled up with different calls. So different regular client calls. Sometimes I have like coffee chats with people. Other times I have projects that are ongoing. So I'm building custom dashboards for someone, or I have a funnel strategy project going on. And so I'm doing that type of work. And again, while the week's going on, I have Slack messages coming in from different team members, and I'm addressing that kind of throughout the week. And then really the rest of my heads down work that I'm doing during the week revolves around planning. And so are there what launches are coming up? What in the calendar needs to be planned? Is anything changing? Does anything need to be addressed from tasks that have been completed by team members across the different clients' teams? What needs to be reviewed, right? If a new landing page was put together, I need to go and review that. Typically, I'll do like test opt-ins for everything, just as really like peace of mind for myself. I like to opt into everything that we're running out live. If there's a new sales page, does that need to be reviewed? Do I need to review emails that were written before they get passed on to a tech VA to have her set them up? And so it's really kind of split between like planning future things and then managing current projects, making sure we're on time with things, making sure no one has questions, reviewing things before it gets passed along to that next team member stage. So that is a good point to bring up, that one thing I'm always doing in Asana multiple times a day is looking at the team members' tasks that they have assigned to them and saying, this person's tasks, like, are they on track? Do they fall behind? Did they get ahead on things? Do I need to reach out to them to see if they need help because they did fall behind on this? Or reach out to them to say, why are we behind? Are you waiting for something? Do you need me to step in? So that's something that also that's happening throughout the week is I'm looking forward to next projects. I'm reviewing and managing current projects, and I'm also checking team members' tasks completion to make sure that they're on track. And then again, a big part of my role is really answering the questions. And so I would say high level, what I'm doing on a regular basis is I'm looking at numbers and coming up with analysis and strategy, brainstorming with clients about that. And then kind of next level is managing team members, managing projects, and then do forward-facing project strategy planning based on whatever the client has going on. So if you're interested in doing more of this type of role, I actually have a free training link below, so definitely check that out. And I'm always open to answer any questions you have.